Hello, my name is Sari Shryack. I'm an artist and teacher here in Austin, Texas. Welcome to my backyard art studio. I couldn't be more excited for you guys to be here because we're doing two things I love. One is teaching with acrylic paints and the other is painting botanicals. The takeaway for today is not only how to utilize heavy body acrylic paints, which are my all-time favorite medium, but I'm also passionate that it's a really fun medium for carving out with negative space. They're very opaque. There's a lot of great texture. I will walk through that in the demo and tell you why that is such a strength. So if you're interested in that, then we're going to jump into today's demo. I'm also using one of these wood panels from Blick. I really like the Premier ones. They have a really nice smooth surface, and because of this, I only put down about one coat of gesso and then a color on top of it. I like to start with a bright color. I'm actually really partial to very bright colors. By having a contrasting color in there, it should add to the depth. As I mentioned, I am painting with heavy body acrylic paints. What I love about these is they have a real thickness and viscosity to them, aka they're going to give us those yummy brush marks in the painting. I'm using titanium white, cadmium yellow light, yellow oxide, which is going to be a great neutrally yellow, pyrrole orange, cadmium red medium, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue green shade, and hooker's green. If you notice on here, we are painting botanicals, we're painting greens, and I only have one green on the palette. And honestly, if someone were to ask which of these colors is the most optional, it would be the green. I'm a huge fan of mixing your own greens as opposed to pulling them straight from the bottle. Green can be a tricky color, and I find that mixing your own greens using versions of yellow and blue together gives us a more varied sense of green. It also helps you develop that color mixing muscle. I have my reference photo on my phone. I'm gonna put yours on the screen so you can paint along with me. My first step actually has nothing to do with color mixing. I'm going to find a color that will stand out on my background color of choice, but you just want it to be a different value and a different color. So in this case, I'm gonna go with phthalo blue green shade, maybe a little bit of white. So my approach here is always just a loose draw in. The first time I go in and paint the actual color in the leaves and actually put color on here, not just my drawing, you're gonna see that it's very general. I'm just sort of getting the big shapes. I'm not doing any detail work at all whatsoever. So you don't need a perfect drawing. Whenever you are painting, you are ultimately juggling three things: color, value, drawing. So different approaches sort of navigate that conundrum and that problem in different ways by teasing them out into separate steps. Okay, so we can see this is a really, really rough block in, and that's totally fine. But all I'm preparing here is that for my next step, that I have enough information to do that. And then as the painting progresses, I will move down to smaller brush sizes and I will begin to refine slowly and have more detail. I'm not being precious, I'm not being perfect. I'm really committing to making good color and value choices. And then by sort of staying committed to that, that's going to yield me over time, hopefully a really fun botanical painting. So whenever I look at my reference photo, the bottom half of the leaves look very yellowy green, and then the top leaves look bluer and green. And so the way I am interpreting it is that the green leaves are maybe just ever so slightly lighter. So that means that I'm gonna go with some of these bluer, blue-green leaves. So I'm gonna start by mixing an ultramarine blue. I have the choice between two blues, but ultramarine tends to pull more violet, and phthalo blue green shade, as the name insinuates, tends to pull more green. And so because of that, I don't want it greener, I want it bluer, so that's why I'm choosing that color. Don't overthink it. Sometimes whenever I do in-person demos, students will ask for exact color recipes. They'll wanna like scribble which exact colors. And I think it is more fruitful as a painter to start developing a sense of it just needs to be lighter, more chromatic, more this color, that color, right? You're navigating with hue, chroma, and value, what color you're mixing, as opposed to following the exact color recipes that someone else uses. And so my exact dark green might be like more yellow than the green you pick up, just because we all interpret colors different. Even our eyes kind of see the world differently. One thing I'll have my students do is cover one eye and then the other, and you'll notice that even from one eye to the next, one eye sees cooler than the other. And so because there's so much difference in how we sort of see and sense and feel and mix colors, I think that color recipes are not super productive. So all you need to know is I'm going lighter in value, one step. I'm going bluer, but I'm still not wanting it to be high chroma. So I'm going to mix in the complement. So the complement of blue is going to be an orange. So you can see I'm taking this background color and sort of carving out. So you can see like I'm able to sort of articulate the little tips of the plant, the edges, by carving out with the negative space. So the next step in this process is a redraw line. So we drew in initially, my first step, and then now we get to look at it. And again, if we're teasing out the different elements, value, color, drawing, now we're gonna take a moment and just fix any of the errors. Errors might have happened for two reasons. One, you just didn't see something correctly the first time, right? Even if you're a pretty skilled drafts person, the accuracies and intersections can sometimes escape you. You made this leaf too big or too small, that just happens. But also, when you don't have the ability to be super precise on this first round, maybe you did have something drawn in correctly, and because you're using a big brush, you couldn't save that detail. So assuming that you need a redraw for a mix of those two reasons, we're gonna go back in. So all I was trying to do with this redraw is just refine and bring back some of the details I lost, or invite in. So part of the idea of moving from general to specific is that with each step, assuming that you've roughly found everything, if that's the case, then what you're doing is you're getting one more layer of detail. So more detail, that's the name of this next game. I'm going to use this smaller brush, and the smaller brush will allow us to find more of those details. Once again, I am going to move through the value scale, but just know that the game I'm playing is I'm doing exactly what I did with the first block in, but with more information, more detail. I'm not contending with a bright pinky orange red background, so I will be able to find those values and colors better because I'm not competing with a color that's really aggressive or a white or something like that. In the first pass, I treated all the leaves the same way by really simplifying them. I pretty much just treated the harsh, direct shadows and then the lit part of the leaf as two separate colors. And what this ends up doing is I kind of ignore the highlight and the subtle variation of green. Like it might start cooler on one end and get more leafy and yellowy green by the other end of just one individual leaf. And in the first pass, I just kind of ignored that. I sort of thought of the leaf as very simplified. As I'm progressing, I am now painting in some of those variations. So one leaf might have a shadow on it, and then one half the leaf is greener and the other half is more yellowy green, and there's a little bit of a highlight. I'm not going to do the highest highlight in this pass, but I am going to sort of simplify and yet incorporate those forms into the painting. We can see with the palette, I have a variation of all these greens kind of blending into each other, and I'm continuing to play that game. Warmer, cooler, lighter, more muted, less muted, greener, etc., as I navigate all of the leaves. So I'm just gonna jump back in and keep playing this game. The utility of paying attention to your negative space is that you can go in and sort of carve around. So by painting the rubber tree plant so far, I've put in the positive space, and now I get to play around with the negative space. I hinted at it a little bit when I was putting in the shadows of the rubber tree plant, because in the lower bottom third or fourth of the image, there is the shadow and the rubber tree plant doing that dance between negative and positive space. The rest of it has this lighter, it's a pale yellow sort of siding that's going to be going back and forth with the rubber tree plant. So what's happening now is you can see a lot of the underpainting, you can see some of the initial block in, and while I've pushed the leaves quite a bit more, the leaves are really starting to look realistic. There's a messiness here that I'm going to mix this pale yellow color and come back at it. And by doing that, I'm going to be able to sharpen the leaves and create that lovely dialogue between negative space and positive space. I will say this is the first place where I might bump down to my smallest brush, which is a size 2, also flat, just to start getting some of these details. Now we're at a position where the last thing I have is the highlights. One thing I always make sure to do is to give myself a little bit of space in my process from the last step, the final finesse. So in this case, it's going to be the highlights on the leaves. It might be some of the little stem part of the leaf, the bright pink parts. I have pumped the brakes at every point, making sure I don't get to that. It's the most fine level of detail. It's the polish, it's the finesse. So I think I'm done with the demo. Admittedly, it's always really hard to call exactly when you're done, but it captured what I was trying to capture in the leaves. I wanted to really pay attention to value and color and show exactly how using negative space works in the context of a painting. Hopefully that was really informative and you walk away with a couple of new key ideas and insights and tools that you can use in your painting journey. If you like what you see here, make sure to check out the rest of the Dick Blick playlist. If you enjoyed learning from me and watching me paint, you can always check out my online art school, Not Sorry Art School, and follow me everywhere. My socials are Not Sorry Art, anywhere you can find me.